Peace, love, family. What's going on, Kachi Ra? Yo, I'm about to do a video on Gnosis, and it's a pretty. Gnosis is the knowledge of self, knowing of self. So, as Jesus said, "Know thyself," or those who, or in the Gnostic book, those who know the Gnostics are all Christ. That's why I also say about Allah. Allah is also a form of knowing yourself. All these words are basically trying to say know thyself. Once you know thyself, you are in gnosis. You know the is, the snake sound. You're the serpent. You're a wise one. So, yeah, about to give me something to eat a little bit, and then I'll jump back on and I'll do a video. Alright? So, peace and love, everybody. Surfing for Wisdom. I love this book, by the way. I got some more books coming along. But yeah, I showed all these books before. Get this one, Kabbalion. Get this one, the America. Get this book also, Secret Place of the Lion. Get all these books, you be set. Alright. By the way, my favorite song, that I Wanna Know Joe, that Joe song, I Wanna Know. Yeah, I like that song. It's one of my favorites. Hey, y'all take a look. Y'all take a ride with me real quick. Take a ride. Alright, so. Alright, so the Gnosis. The Gnosis wanted to talk about were the ones who, like me. The Gnosis were the ones like me. And we went around to talk about how knowing of the spirit is better, knowing where you came from, not trying to be so involved with the human aspect of yourself, because you understand the human body is a flaw. There was the ones who needed to be controlled, and those were the ones without the soul. See, the ones without the soul needed that, because and the ones without the soul needed the extra instructions, because there were chaotic beings as far as being human constructs, because that's what they were. There was human constructs created, and they needed instructions on how to behave. And then there were a few who basically could not grasp the spiritual concepts. So there was religion created. Religion was made. But it was not made to be controlling like it is today. It was just made for those who needed some type of system in place to help them understand. You see? And therefore came all these different religions. And then I'm just going to go ahead and skip straight to the Hebrew, because that's the main culprit with the whole patriarch system. And that was brought forth. They kicked out the female, but then again, it also showed you that Yahweh kicked out his wife. And I show people this all the time. Yahweh had a wife. You cannot have a male without a female. You can't have just one set of energy. And when you do that, it creates off balance. You then become a product of the light. You become a prison of the prism. That is the light cube. You become a prisoner, because you only are one-sided in the male matrix, in the male matriarch society, and you're cutting off the feminine aspect, which is the loving, forgiving nature, which you must forgive yourself and get out. And once you do that, you then become lighter than a feather. You're forgiving yourself that, hey, I'm not so tall, I'm not so pretty, I don't have the best looking teeth, I don't have the best looking wife or whatever, I don't have the best looking car, and I'm not in the best situations, and blah 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 blah. But in order to do that, you must go into the feminine nature side of yourself. That's what. But you get stuck into the whole matriarch thing, where it's just about controlling the body, gaining, making babies, and try to be a human. That's what it is, controlling your humanity, being a better human. And people fell asleep in that. People fell asleep in that whole trap, trying to be a better human. And here they are trying, and every day they wake up trying to read the Torah, trying to tell you to wrap up, wear dresses, and all this blah blah blah, trying to look like a better human, focusing on how to make sure that you look good in front of everybody else, and you're ignoring the fact what you really need to be focusing on. And the more you focus on trying to please everybody on a human level, you're forgetting about your whole spiritual growth, your spiritual part of yourself, which is supposed to be the main thing. And I'm looking at this thing. This Popeye stays packed. I'm not going to Popeyes. I just seen this Popeye stays packed. I'm about to go to Subway. Damn, I missed my turn. Let me go ahead. But yeah, you got to really stay grounded. Let me say this too. Being grounded is good, because you want to understand how to get things done on a human level, but just remember not to fall in love with it. See? And the Gnosis tells you that humanity is a sickness. People fall in love with the sickness of humanity, and humanity is a disease. Who was that? Agent Smith told you that humanity is a disease, and we're so stuck into trying to be human, we forget it's a disease to be a human. Every time you eat, you consume life or light. Every time you sneeze, you put out particles that is disgusting. Every time you breathe out your own life force, and you just allow the trees to breathe it in. That's why trees breathe in carbon. They breathe in our light. That's why trees stores our DNA, our history. Trees. That's why the whole tree of life. That's why they talk about the trees being light, being life. Trees of life. The tree of life. That's why you need to touch a tree, because trees hold DNA. Light codes. It holds our light codes. It holds our information. It holds our... Excuse me. That's why the Amazon's burning right now, because it's basically destroying a lot of our DNA code. So much history. So much history being burnt right now from the Amazon. All right. So, but the Gnostics understood that you must be ready to let go. That's why you had the. Must understand that even nature don't want humanity here, because it was nature first. It was not humans. It was just nature. Then humanity came. Once humanity came, it effed everything up. So even Mother Nature don't want humanity to be here. Now, as far as high vibrational beings, I mean, you don't have to live off the land. You don't have to kill and consume anything. But low vibrational beings that we are in these bodies, we must do that. And we're destroying and taking away from her, which is Mother Nature. Now, a lot of the time, also, people need to understand too that a lot of who you read about in the Bible, they were pagans. John was a pagan. John lived outside of the city. He was living off the land. He was eating bugs. And that's considered a pagan. You're not in the city. You're not living. You're not trying to be civilized. Civilized. That's what that means. So you're trying to be off. You're trying to be offset. There we go. You're trying to be off center. Don't mind me. I'm trying to put some Vaseline on. That's all. I don't like chocolate lips. All right, so sitting in this parking lot, people be whipping their cars so fast. You ever just parked in a parking lot and then just about to open your door, a car just whip right past you? It's like, dang, where you came from? Yeah. And it's, let me see, what I'm about to read. Ever since. All right, so the path of the Gnostics, the path of the Gnosis is set forth by the serpent on a tree, which I talked about, what the tree represents. And other Gnostic liberators was formulated so that the inner spirit could awaken from this illusion, extricated itself from the physical form and return to the rightful homes in the heavens. It was never talking about trying to be a better human, trying to teach about how to live as a better person. It's like humanity, you know. But you know, funny thing is, when you focus on your spirit, it translates to the physical. So it's not like you're gonna be doing stupid stuff to hurt people. It's like you understand that people are dead inside, but on the outside they're this fake vessel. They're trying to be something that they're not. Well, you know, the smart person knows that I'm not trying to be. I'm gonna be who I am. I'm gonna show who I am. So I'm not gonna be fake. I'm just gonna be real with you inside and be inner and let you know what's going on. Now, the book of Enoch is good to read because the book of Enoch talks about the heavenly realms, planes, talk about star walking. And many Hebrews talk against reading Enoch because they don't really understand the whole concept of that. Even though Well, no, they don't go with Paul. Anything in the New Testament. Excuse me. Anything in the New Testament they don't go with. What's it? Dang, who? There's someone in the Old Testament. I think it was Isaiah. Talk about the spinning wheels. The name just slipped my mind. Enoch. And the mind, dang, dude slipped my mind. But in the Old Testament, there's one guy that was taken up in a wheel of fire. Cannot think of the name right now. I'm pretty sure it'll come to me once I close this video. Then I'll be like, damn, that's the name. But in a wheel of fire, that's the one person that talks about. It's the same thing. It's talk about the will. Talk about the fire inside of you. And there's a lot of symbolism in regards to waking up the will. So there's a will, there's a will, and then inside of that will there's you, the body. So the fire, so you're inside of the fire, and your phoenix, basically your phoenix will rise. Your phoenix is a bird, and the phoenix represents Venus, is love. The ring of Saturn is time. I know I'm going off subject real quick. Let me head back. But yeah, let me talk about Enoch, because Enoch is another representation of Thoth as well. But Venus, the moon, Saturn, all these things plays with religion in a way. Because Venus would represent the heart, the love. Pluto represents the underworld. It's the last planet. But Jupiter represents the king, the big planet. Saturn represents, of course, Satan. Or it would be the first light. But the ring around Saturn brought it to be condensed cold. If you break it free Saturn from the ring, you'll get back hot. But what does that mean? It's us. We got this body that keep our light bodies cold and condensed. But once we break free of it, we become hot again. We become a sun. We got all these like little small body of cold ideas around us, like the ice of Saturn. And you can think of that as your chakras, and that's cold and dormant. But until you warm them up and break the wings, you won't become that hot, boiling sun again. So just like how the Baphomet had, you have the spearing of fire coming forth out of the head. Once you awaken yourself, once you free yourself from the bond of the circle of time, once you break out of these cold bodies and understand that you're trapped into a circle of time of incarnations, until you realize this is an illusion that you must break free from. So you could become that light that spirit forth, spirit out of this illusion. And the Gnosis taught that Enoch may also be synonymous with the priest Imaduraki, a Sumerian pre-flood monarch, who may have also been a master of the Thoth and Hermes lineage. Both Enoch and King Enmerduranki were masters of the sacred science of the uniters of spirituality and science, of the uniter of heaven and earth. Enumeranki. Basically, his name means uniter of heaven and earth. Their intimate relationship is also revealed with the Hebrew and Sumerian Dulavan generation list of kings, which lists both as the seventh patriarchs. It is believed by some that the Hebrew list of 10 pre-deluge patriarchs is a spurious copy of Mesopotamian list with Hebrew names inserted in place of more ancient Sumerian. It's been satisfactorily proven, for example. Okay. Anyway, I read what I needed to read. Enoch, like I said, Enoch, Thoth, Hermes, all these great masters that were shown were the ones that brought the connection with heaven and earth, body and spirit. Like Cain before him, Enoch was a possessor and transmitter of fire. His name denotes both enlightened seer and initiator, or one who initiate through the transmutation of the Shekinah, or holy fire. And like his predecessor, Cain, Enoch also apparently refers to one or more masters in a lineage of Thoth Hermes, a truth which becomes nearly infutable in light of their in light of their identical legends and the fact that in the exoteric records of the Arabs, they are both referred to the same name, Idris. Both Enoch and Thoth Hermes are manifestations of the divine mind of God and the prophets of that aspect of spiritual wisdom known as sacred science. Spiritual science, sacred science, that is the Kabbalion, the 7 principles. Now, most people are like, what are you talking about, Cain and Abel? Cain destroyed Abel. And people be like, well, isn't Cain dead? But you got to look at it from a different aspect. What was that really trying to say? Cain was Thoth and Hermes. Cain represents Cain is apparently a title for a fire-yielding lineage, right? Cain is Sharam, or Ki, the fire serpent, Ki, and Aram is the one who holds power. So when Cain, remember, Seth is also a name for Set. It's the sun Set. But Cain is the fire, which brings the fourth to fire. So therefore, Cain and Abel were the firstborns of the sun. Firstborn of the sun. So you got the sun's coming up and the sun going down once again. Cain and Set. Just like in Egypt, you have the same thing, Horus and Set. Right? Same thing, different names. So the Enoch, so therefore, you know, when you get Cain overcoming Set, you got the fire overcoming the body. Or your Set represents the darkness of your mind, and you got your fire up here, which is your pineal, your consciousness. So Cain and Abel will represent the blackness. Cain and Abel will I said it backwards. Cain will represent the fire that overcoming the darkness, that overcoming your body. See, he brought forth, and then therefore God had to tell him. That's why people say. That's why God was like, hey, if anybody touch you, they will be consumed. Because he knew he had the wisdom, he had the knowledge. So he didn't kill he didn't really technically kill his brother. Because the land, he killed the ego. Basically the same thing with what Kali does. Kali kills the body, she kills the ego. So your spirit can rise. So what Cain did to Abel. Cain was a possessor of the fire. Yeah. And I can give a little bit more to that. This video, I have to cut this video short because it's about to extend over my limit. But yeah, Cain was a possessor of the fire, and he freed his brother spirit so he could rise. So it was a deeper meaning behind the whole thing where he killed his brother. All right. So talking about that, talk about the gnosis. Talk about the gnosis today. Hey, this video 1. I'm gonna put video 2 up a little bit later. Let me order my food and I'll be right back on. All right, fam. All right, peace and love to y'all. Caught you raw.